7,000 dead, 7 million displaced. This is the impact of the war in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo since the beginning of 2025. This is a long and bloody conflict between rebel groups and government forces fighting to keep hold of DRC territory. Now the rebels are pushing west, and this conflict is threatening to spiral out of control. What's behind this eruption of violence? Why has this conflict proved so hard to end? And what will happen now that the most powerful nations in the world are racing to take control of this key region of Africa? Congo's history has been shaped by cycles of exploitation, conflict, and foreign intervention.
Nous allons veiller à ce que l'unité de notre patrie profite véritablement à ses enfants.
Exploitation began in the 19th century when what we know today as the Democratic Republic of Congo was the Belgian Congo, and it really was the private fiefdom of King Leopold II of Belgium. It was rich in ivory, in rubber, and millions of people are estimated to have died. This is widely regarded as one of the most brutal periods of colonial history known in Africa.
The now independent Congo quickly faced secessionist movements, Lumumba's assassination, and a 1965 military coup led by Mobutu Sese Seko, who renamed the country Zaire in 1971 and established a dictatorship. 2 decades later, Rwanda exploded into ethnic violence, and the DRC was about to receive a deadly blowback from one of the most shocking moments of brutality in the 20th century. In 1994, Rwanda descended into chaos and terror as Hutu extremists slaughtered hundreds of thousands of ethnic Tutsis and fled across the border into eastern DRC.
Many of the Hutu perpetrators of the genocide flooded over the border into the eastern Congo, and the Congo were really encouraged by the international community to take in people who are coming across the border.
Among them were Hutu militias, which quickly began regrouping on Congolese soil. In response, Tutsis started mobilizing within the DRC, receiving weapons and support from Rwanda, setting the stage for yet another cycle of conflict.
Well, more than 100 groups are active there right now, but one dominates, M23.
A Congolese Tutsi-led rebel paramilitary group named after the March 23, 2009 peace accord that ended a previous Tutsi-led rebellion in eastern DRC.
As refugees rush out, the rebels rush in. M23 fighters hurtled into Sake today to fight Congolese government forces which have taken back control of the town.
M23 say its objective is to safeguard Congolese Tutsis' interests and protect them from Hutu rebel groups.
Since its formation, M23 has faced accusations of war crimes, including child soldier recruitment, massacres and rapes. Rwanda is accused of arming M23 and of using their troops to back the group.
Does Rwanda currently have any troops at all in eastern DRC?
I don't know.
Rwanda's president, Paul Kagame, is a former commander of a Tutsi rebel force who helped end the Hutu-led genocide in 1994.
You'll find him in Davos, you'll find him at the Munich Security Conference. He has learned very well how to engage Western donor countries, and there's still an enormous amount of kind of guilt within the international community that we did not come to the rescue of those Rwandan civilians 30 years ago.
But the violence fueled by M23 rebels, who claim they took up arms to defend their rights, goes beyond ethnic tensions with the Hutus. This is also a story about money and power. Beneath this soil, there are vast riches, an estimated $24 trillion in untapped resources.
Congo has a rich abundance of critical minerals and so-called rare earths.
Diamonds, gold, copper, and the most sought-after minerals in the world, lithium, cobalt and coltan. The demand for these rare earths is being fueled by the tech revolution and the world's race to become sustainable. Every electric car battery contains 10 kilograms of cobalt, much of it mined in Congo.
Now DRC is responsible for 71% of the world's cobalt production. Once extracted, the mineral is used to make the highly powerful and lucrative lithium batteries, which are used to fuel everything from electric vehicles to smartphones.
Despite being such a large producer of cobalt, the per capita income of the DRC is really, really low. It's one of the poorest countries in the world.
Key reasons why the Congo hasn't been able to capitalize on its huge natural resources is a lack of structures in place in central government. The whole project is largely unregulated, and this has allowed for massive exploitation by foreign forces and also rebels on the ground, and indeed politicians, the political elite themselves in Kinshasa have also been able to enrich themselves, and very little of this wealth has been passed on to the population.
In 2023, the M23 Rebels seized mining territories and mineral supply routes. 120 tons of coltan was being sent to Rwanda every 4 weeks.
Rwanda is a very, very small country. It's extremely populated, and it has no resources of its own.
In early 2025, after a swift advance in the east, M23 fighters captured key cities including Goma in North Kivu and Bukavu in South Kivu, killing thousands.
Fighting between the Rwanda-backed rebels and the army of the Democratic Republic of Congo had ramped up significantly in recent days.
Il m'est impossible de vous décrire les cris et les larmes de millions de victimes de ce conflit. Femmes, filles violées, enfants relais de force, déplacés et orphelins.
From an outsider's perspective, the success of M23 seems unlikely. Their alleged backer, Rwanda, is a fraction of the DRC's size and population, but the territory the rebels now control is almost as big as Rwanda itself.
The Congo's had a very large United Nations peacekeeping operation deployed there since 1999. 20 years ago or so, that UN peacekeeping operation was actually quite effective because it was inserted within a political process. Unfortunately, now there is no political process, and the UN peacekeeping mission is very marginalized politically. And because of that, perhaps, you've had other peacekeeping operations from other countries and other regional bodies come in.
But the violence fueled by M23 rebels, who claim they took up arms to defend their rights, goes beyond ethnic tensions with the Hutus. China has invested heavily in the DRC, becoming its largest trading partner and embedding itself in the mining industry in the country's southeastern regions. Now, they are targeting batteries as part of their strategic industrial planning. And this is causing serious anxiety in the United States.
Unbridled ambition to lead the world in batteries, solar panels and EVs.
29% cheaper to make in China, the battery.
G7 nations criticized China for what they described as its harmful overcapacity.
China is one of the few international powers who is prepared to take a risk on the DRC, and it is seen as very central to its Belt and Road Initiative ambitions. Africa is absolutely at the heart of that strategy.
The United States says it's open to exploring critical minerals partnerships with the Democratic Republic of Congo.
In February, the US added cobalt, essential in battery production, to a list of 35 minerals deemed critical to its economy.
Make America great again.
In the DRC, Donald Trump and his billionaire tech backer Musk might see a chance to weaken China's grip on the continent's clean energy supply chains.
The Trump administration is prioritizing critical minerals, and they're doing that globally. So even in the Africa case, it means that DRC has more importance than it has, say, in past administrations.
In early 2025, lobbyists for the DRC approached Washington, offering operational control and exclusive extraction and export rights to American companies in return for reinforcing regional stability.
The DRC wants pretty active U.S. security support, maybe even asking for boots on the ground. This administration is not interested in boots on the ground in foreign places.
But it could also just be putting pressure on the Rwandan government, which is backing the M23. The Rwandan government is very dependent on international aid and support, including from the US government.
What is going to happen next is really, really scary.
With international focus consumed by the wars in Ukraine and Gaza, there is limited interest in the DRC crisis and no hope of support from the global north. Meanwhile, the growing technological demands of the modern world directly fuel exploitation, further intensifying the factors driving conflict in eastern DRC.
If it were to be determined that the Rwandan armed forces were actually engaged on the ground in a fighting capacity, that would, I think, change the nature of this conflict. It would make it not just instability in eastern Congo, but it would make an interstate conflict in Central Africa.
There'll also be the problem of the humanitarian crisis, and there have been 7 million people who have been displaced.
The Congolese are in desperate need of an end to the conflict, yet the only groups eager to step in are mercenaries, international business players circling for profit, and nations locked in a struggle to control the means of the green and tech revolutions.